Okay, let's talk about some political parties. Now, even after George Washington's farewell address, the United States still created political parties for some reason, and I don't really fully understand why. So today, our two most powerful political parties, or most popular political parties, are the Republicans and the Democrats. Now, if you don't remember, a political party, they are groups that believe the government should run the country in a certain way. Okay, so if you believe a certain thing about the government and how it should run the country, then maybe you'd be a part of the Republicans. Or maybe if you believe the opposite way that the government should run the country, then you would be a Democrat. So it's really Republicans and Democrats is just names for a group that we call parties that believe the government should work in a certain way. Now, the first political parties in our country started because there was an argument over the power of the national government. Because remember, the Constitution's fairly new, and there's always arguments about how much the power the national government has and how much power the states should have. And there was also a argument over the creation of the National Bank, which remember was a plan from Alexander Hamilton. Well, because of these arguments, you have two different political parties, the very first political parties that started. The first was a political party by Alexander Hamilton called the Federalist. The second, and do not get this confused with Anti-Federalist, the second was a political party created by Thomas Jefferson called the Democratic Republicans. Now, let's look at their differences, because they are very different in how they feel like the government should be ran and who supported them. So let's start with the Federalist. The Federalist was started and led by Alexander Hamilton. Supporters of the Federalist political party were normally educated people and wealthy people. Also, people who ran factories, who had factories or industry or manufacturing, normally were Federalists. The government type that they believed in was a very strong national government. And they really wanted a national bank, obviously, because Alexander Hamilton is the one who thought of the plan of creating a national bank. And they had what's called a loose interpretation of the Constitution. What this means is just because something's not written in the Constitution, it's okay if the government does it as long as they really need to do it. So the national bank, creating a national bank was never a power given to the national government. But Alexander Hamilton believed that the government should still be able to do that because it needed a national bank. So they have a loose interpretation of the Constitution. This is the Federalist Party. On the flip side, you have the Democratic Republican Party. Now, the leader of this group and the starter was Thomas Jefferson. The main supporters were like your common, everyday working people. Your farmers, your people who worked outside, who worked with their hands, your everyday common person. The main industry that really supported them was farming. Okay, so a lot of farmers supported the Democratic Republicans. The government type that they believed in was that states should have more power and that states should protect their rights. It was all about states' rights. And then the national government, what they were scared of is the national government would become too strong. They did not want a national bank. The Democratic Republicans did not want it because it was not in the Constitution. So they said, nope, you shouldn't be able to have a national bank because it's not written in the Constitution, which is a strict interpretation of the Constitution. So Democratic Republicans believe the government can only do exactly what is written in the Constitution. This is the Democratic Republicans. Well, these were the first political parties. Even though George Washington warned against them, we still created them and we still have them today. Probably not our best choice. We should have listened to Washington, but it is what it is, and you needed to know the difference between the Federalists and the Democratic Republicans.